Okay, so I'll just start kind of reading off of this and then kind of elaborate from there, and we'll see where it takes us. Excited. So this is something that I have talked about for years, talked about to my clients, and so I just decided that it was time to do instead of talk about. The number one purpose for doing this is obviously to provide a sense of community, unconditional love, acceptance, something that we all want. I know we all want that. I mean, that's a human kind of need, desire. I shouldn't say I know we all want that. I know I want that, and I have a feeling most people do. I think it's just a need to have that, and also to utilize my gifts and my tool sets and such to empower everybody to be the best version of themselves. I really kind of do the world a disservice by not sharing at the capacity that I'm capable of. So that's what we're doing here. That's what we're getting started to do. This truly is my passion, my purpose for being alive. Many people chase the American dream, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a good job, get married, have 2 kids, and a white picket fence around your house. And although that sounds real nice, and it does work for some people, and cool, and good for them, I guess, but that's not real. That's just a goal per se to fulfill, to fit into some kind of a box maybe. I'm not even sure what it even really is and why we all want to chase that. It's like we're forced that into our heads when we're little. You got to do life this way. Do life however the hell you need to do life. That's just something that I feel is very important that people understand, and hopefully by making these videos and doing these meetups that we can help, I don't know, make that known better, maybe help people feel more comfortable in the knowledge that we all have, just for lack of better terms, a really fucked up life. We're all struggling. Everybody has things that don't go the way they think they should. And that's one of my favorite words, because you should this and you should that. You're going to should all over yourself, so watch it. So even when I was younger, I had a very, I don't know a good word, like a natural attraction for psychology. I actually considered going to college to do psychology, but the only thing I would have done at college with that age was party, so I knew better. I went on to do all my other stuff, kind of that natural entrepreneur. I'm very driven to do my own thing, but decided several years ago that because I am so passionate about it, and because I am naturally like an incredible therapist friend, that I wanted to do life coaching. So I studied neurolinguistic programming, which you may hear me refer to on occasion, NLP. I've gotten several certifications and through it, master practitioner in neurolinguistic programming itself, as well as in timeline therapy. So I think I have 4. I'm working next, hopefully, to get hypnosis training. So that'll be cool. Let's see what else we got here. So a couple of things to kind of keep in mind. So when you're wanting to work on yourself, and maybe set some goals for your life, keeping utilizing tools, maybe that's a good word I'm trying to come up with. Meditation. So I know you're a meditator. I know you're a meditator. You mentioned, yes. So where's So I'm going to read here. I had my trainer actually gave me this piece of paper here not too very long ago when I went to one of his meetups. I'm not going to go through all of it because this is his, but a lot of it I feel information would be perfect to share. So meditation is the process of quieting the mind in order to spend time in thought for relaxation or religious or spiritual purposes. The goal is to attain an inner state of awareness and intensify personal and spiritual growth. So that's a pretty decent definition. The goal would be to empty the mind, to quiet the mind, to have an inner state of awareness, to get centered, or to be spiritually connected. Another thing to take in mind is like mindfulness, and I'm going to talk about this quite a bit here in a minute. Self-awareness was kind of how I worded it in my notes, but mindfulness means paying attention in a particular way on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. The goal of mindfulness would be awareness, kind of like my choice of words is self-awareness, presence, and the power of now, being here, right where you are right now. Yesterday's over, tomorrow hasn't happened, this morning's already over at home, actually, as a matter of fact, and what you're doing next is irrelevant. This is it. This is all we've got. Hypnosis is, and a lot of people kind of get like woo-woo about hypnosis. Hypnosis is a trance-like state. So hypnosis is a state of mind in which the critical faculty of the human is bypassed and selective thinking established. So the goal of hypnosis, even self-hypnosis, which is something that I want to talk to you about a little bit, is to change something. In hypnotic work, you do work with the unconscious mind, and in most cases, the conscious mind is aware of what the work you're doing with the hypnotist. It's not, say you're driving home and you don't really know how you got there, that's a trance-like state, that's hypnosis. You're doing a puzzle and nothing else exists but that puzzle, and for hours you've been in that puzzle, that's a hypnotic state, that's a trance-like state, that's a meditative type state. It's not like someone's going to talk you into something, you're going to come out barking like a dog. Actually, you would choose to do that if you wanted to. I mean, it's not I have stories, but we're not going to get into all that. I can go, told you I can talk in circles, that's why I had this. So, the self-awareness. So, who am I? This is something that kind of the gold to me, in my opinion. If you can truly get this and conquer being self-aware and truly not getting lost in your thoughts, then you have almost per se won. It's not like it's a victory or anything, but you'll have a very peaceful life. So, who am I? So you have some voices in your head, right? You have one that goes all the time. It's always, ooh, that's white, ooh, this is, it's constantly going. And then you have another one that argues with it. I like to refer to it kind of like the head and the heart. So the head is crazy. It is constantly all the time. And I mean, without these voices, there's no meaning to life. So I'm not saying they're terrible and that you have to get rid of them, because you can't. That's part of being alive. But being aware of it. So you've got your mouther, and you've got the one that's a little more chill, and it's okay, honey, just calm down. And then guess what? You hear both of those, right? You are the observer of that. That is you, but it more so pretends to be you versus who you really are. I like to refer to the observer as the soul, the one who's actually learning and growing here through this human experience that we're having in this body. That is listening to those voices and learning from those voices, but doesn't have to become those voices. Everybody's going to do it. Sitting there reading the book. Next thing you know, you're looking off over here for 30 minutes and your mind's going, blah, blah, blah. You don't even know how you got there. Happens to everyone. It's just a matter of making the daily conscious effort to pay attention to that. So, I'm sitting here doing them. Like, oh yes, so yesterday. Woo, where did I go? Back to here, back to now. This is what we got. So, oftentimes I find great humor in what this little thing in here comes up with. It's quite hilarious. You don't have to believe everything you think. And again, I feel like that's probably the most gold thing that anybody could ever get, is just observe it. Just, maybe learning how to do that better. Again, making the daily conscious effort, but maybe today, taking one whole day just to be aware of what you're thinking about. Because you're going to be thinking. It doesn't mean that you have to believe it or get into it, but just be like, that was interesting. I was thinking those things today. Or, it's interesting. I got upset when someone said something, or when I was, if you get offended, it's about you. It's not even about whomever did whatever. I think that's a pretty decent explanation of self-awareness that I wanted to kind of, and y'all are welcome to say something or whatever anytime. This is also something that was kind of beneficial to me in getting me to this point in life and realizing my reason for even being alive is to be doing this. So what is my purpose for even being here, for being alive, for having this human experience? Most people are not looking for a deeper meaning of purpose. They're just flailing about and in their thoughts and chasing the American dream and being frustrated because they never get there, and it's not even really real. It's just a made-up thing that people created for us to chase, and then they commercialize it and monetize the shit out of it, and everybody's walking around miserable because they think they need to do a certain thing. But anyway, taking the time to figure out what you're good at. So if you focus on what you're not good at, what good is that going to do you? You're not probably going to get really any better at it. You might get a little bit better at it, but if you're not good at it, you're just not good at it. Fine, that's fine. So what are you good at? Write down, that's the best thing I ever did, was start writing these things down. So what am I good at? When you focus on what you want, what you are good at, that only becomes better. You get what you want. If you focus on what you don't want, guess what? You get more of what you don't want. You also will tend to continue finding those things you're not good at and finding those things that you don't want. Some of the exercises I had done when I was selling essential oils, whenever I was advocating for doTERRA, had a lot to do with, what are you good at? And that was something that helps me discover how great of a friend I am, how great of a listener I am, how compassionate I am. Never really focused on the good about myself. I was always like, well, I can't do this, and I can't teach a class, and I can't stand up in front of people. Why do you think I'm sitting down right now? I want to stand up in front of people. If I can sit down with you guys and look in your eyes and be real and create that sense of love on my level, on this level, I'm good. But that doesn't mean that I can't still do this just because I don't want to stand up and I'm not good at that. I can sit down, right, and do this game. Also considering what are some things that are fun that you can do just for yourself, or something you enjoy. Painting, dancing, playing music, writing, arts really of any kind. But so many people think they have to be doing something all the time. I have to do this, I have to get out of debt, I have to clean my house, I have to do all these things. But you know what? You can go to work tomorrow and save a little money and work on getting out of your debt, and you can definitely clean your house, but it's not going anywhere. So if you're feeling compelled in some way, well, I feel kind of upset, maybe sit down and draw. Write down how you're feeling. I mean, anything just to express some sense of self. I can't say enough about how important those things are. I know most people won't take the time for themselves, and so huge encouragement to do so. So I feel like the reason why I've said all of that was keying in on what you are good at, and also taking the time to express yourself through these artistic ways. You'll discover a lot of things that will actually blow your mind about just how incredible you really are. We're all very, very, very gifted. And I like to believe, and I think most people would probably agree, we all possess a very, very, very special gift. Everyone does. It's going to be better than anybody else's. Now, that doesn't mean there's not other things you'll be good at that other people will be good at too. But there's going to be something that you're going to just be incredible at, and you'll have this gift that no one else can do like you. So I'm not saying you have to figure that out, but going for that, trying to figure out what's great about yourself and bettering yourself is really the best gift you could give to the world, to your kids, to anybody. So here's a huge, huge, huge thing to me also. So are you at cause for your life? This is another big... Most people play victim to their life. Oh, well, this happened, and oh, this happened, and all this happened. And with all due respect, yes, life sucks. that did happen, and I'm so sorry that it happened. But be a victor, be a survivor, be that one, you know what, I made it through that. That was terrible, but I made it through that, and I learned so much, and now maybe I can help someone else with what I've been through. Maybe I can help, oh, that person right there is going through some kind of terrible situation, and I know about that, so maybe I could go over there and help them, and you know, I don't know anything like that, but sitting around and feeling so sorry for yourself about something that happened a long time ago does what? What good does that do? I mean, it does no good whatsoever. Being at cause for your life. So, you are where you are because of you. Decisions you've made got you to where you are. Doesn't mean things didn't happen along the way that were hurtful or painful or traumatic. I mean, most everyone has been through some sense of trauma, some more so than others. I could tell lots and lots of stories about some traumatic things that I've experienced, and I may do that at some point over time, just to help provide some sense of understanding for everyone, to maybe feel like they are a little more understood. Because some people think that I have some little perfect life, or maybe think that you have some little perfect life just because you're happy, just because you choose to be happy. That's a choice. Happiness is a choice. So, down into where I wanted to talk about accepting yourself. So, that voice, oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you didn't do that right. Oh, you're a terrible person. Oop, you're ugly. Oop, those wrinkles are horrible. Oh, you're terrible at relationships. You're a terrible mom. You're a terrible wife. You're a terrible husband. You're a terrible child. You're so bad. That is bullshit. That's bullshit. That is a bullshit story you've been telling yourself for too damn long. You probably learned to tell yourself that when you were a kid as a coping mechanism because of the trauma that you could have possibly been surrounded by, people living in survival mode instead of love. So many people were raised in survival versus by love. And those of us who were raised in more of a survival mode have a tendency to be a little different than those of us who were raised in love. No judgment, no I'm better than anyone because of that. It's just something that we develop. It makes us strong. We're badasses, and we showed up here to do all that so we could learn and be tough and go out and help others who are feeling victimized by life, and maybe we can help them understand that I'm so sorry that happened, but we can't sit around and wallow in that. We got stuff to do. What did you learn from that? Okay, great. Now let's go do something else. Now that being said, there's also it's very, very, very important to grieve, to be angry, to feel your feelings. When something happens, feel your feelings. If you close your heart and shove it down and go distract yourself with other things, guess what? It doesn't go away. And then one day while you're doing something, all of a sudden it comes up. And then you say some crazy shit and overreact and whatever, all because you didn't allow yourself to feel the way you feel. It's perfectly okay to feel whatever you feel, period. That's where, again, that voice, well, that's bad, you shouldn't feel that way, you're a piece of shit because you did. I mean, that's so ridiculous. A technique that my trainer worked with me on, and I kind of tend to, it made a big difference with me, so I tend to share it with a lot of people. So when you catch yourself thinking, well, I'm this big whatever you're thinking about yourself, write it down, mark that shit out, and write down the truth. So kind of leading off of that, I had wrote down here affirmations. I'm not sure if any of you utilize affirmations. I've preached that for the longest time. I had sticky notes, coffee pot, mirrors, front door. I had them on my station in there. I had them in my car. They were everywhere. They help change the way you think, because when you do these things, they reprogram your mind. If you're thinking, I'm a piece of shit, well, if you sit around saying to yourself, I'm amazing, I am healthy, I am whole, I'm complete, I'm successful, I'm enough, I'm beautiful, I'm worthy, eventually you're going to start believing it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts to that. Like, it really does change the way you think. And anything that really resonates with you, it doesn't have to be these specific things. If it kind of makes you want to cry, there's your thing. I am enough was my big thing. I still almost kind of want to tune up about that a little bit, because I used to always just think, well, I'm a worthless piece of shit. That's basically what I thought about myself. I hated myself. I will share a little bit of some negativity in this moment just because I feel compelled to. I made suicide attempts often when I was a little girl. Often. And fortunately, none of it ever worked, and here I am. But because of that, I have a very sensitive spot for suicide, but I also have an understanding that many do not have. So many have judgment. They think it's selfish and all these types of things. And unless you've truly lived in a space where you wanted to die and you know that it would hurt less to literally be dead, then you don't know. And who the hell is anyone to judge anyone for anything they do? And I mean, I hope that by sharing that it might help someone see that there is another way, that you can get better and you can think differently and you can heal from those terrible, painful things that you're feeling. So I wrote a couple other things down here. Of course, I had made some notes in my phone. I was trying to do all this, so I put it off. Choosing yourself. So it's kind of along the lines of accepting yourself, loving yourself, changing these programs in your head, I'm amazing, all these different things, but literally making that choice. You get up, I choose me, choose to love me, I choose to be happy, and that is not selfish. And I know oftentimes people think that it's selfish not to completely forget yourself. They think that's some kind of like a spiritual way to be if you withhold from yourself and you just treat yourself like a piece of shit, but you give everyone else. I had that mentality for a really long time. I just completely depleted myself and gave everything to everyone and did talk terrible to me, but I would try to build everyone else up. And because of that, I tend to find a lot of people who are kind of doing the same thing, and once I quit doing that, I began to attract people who want to do differently. It's kind of interesting how that works. And who actually think differently and who are able to actually meet me on this level where, you know what, yeah, we're all struggling, we're all working on ourselves, but it's nice to talk to people who do love themselves too and are working on filling their cups up, because when you give, you're going to feel like shit if you're not full. You'll be depleted, and that was me for so long. I was sick, actually. I was very, very, very sick. Again, part of that wanting to die thing and all of that. I had a lot of surgeries, took a lot of medications. I was very not where I am now. So hopefully understanding that choosing yourself, accepting yourself, loving yourself, filling your own cup up, and that's the best gift you can give to anyone else is by doing that. Do you want me to love myself? I want you to love yourself. And if you don't, then you really can't help me love myself. And like your children, this is something huge. You can't teach your children to love themselves if you don't love yourself. You can't. You can say, well, you have to love yourself, but I hate me, so you can't. It won't work. It will not work. It will not be a thing. I've been currently, I'll just share some more raw. Currently, raising my children, because of my previous mentality, and I thought I was a piece of shit, and all of those types of negative self-talk that I had in dealing with lessons that teenagers do. In my response to things and trying to work with my kids, especially, I don't know, I have a very toxic trait that's really hard for me to get angry because I understand everything so much. So when I'm reacting and dealing with my kids, I'm like, I think I'd probably be a better mom if I could actually get mad every once in a while and get agitated, but that's about as far as I can go. Because I just understand, okay, well, I see how that could have happened, and let's just, let's work through it. But their reaction to me is where I have absolutely just been devastated, because I taught them that. You can tell that they're just internalizing this, well, I'm a piece of shit and I'm a terrible person and all of that, instead of just saying, well, I made a mistake. Let's keep going. And so working to correct something very toxic that I created in my children, they learned that shit from me, is really hard. It's really hard to see that. But without that, I wouldn't be driven to do more, to be better, to help maybe others that have smaller children. Look, listen to what I'm saying. They're going to think just like you. They're going to do exactly what you're doing. So love yourself, accept yourself, embody what you want them to be, and then you can basically expect them to be that. Although I'm not a fan of the word expect, but I think you get my point. So this is something else too, that I was speaking of the victim mentality. There's also a very prominent mentality of people feeling like, well, there's never enough. I don't have enough. I'm broke. I don't have any money. Now, totally get it. I'm saying that because I totally get it. I was kind of raised that way with a lot of that mentality and feeling like there was never enough. And even over the last few years, I mean, being, single mom, there's been several days that I've been like, well, I'm not real sure how we're going to make it, but we always do. There's always enough. There'll always be enough. There's always been enough. It's all in your head. All in your head. Oh, you're probably taught that from parents, like their mentality of it. You probably learned to think that there's not enough. But even if you learned it on your own because of life, life happens. And when we learn coping mechanisms, I'm struggling, so there's not enough. It's just a thought in your head. There's enough. There's so much more than enough. We live in an abundant universe. Anything we think of, we can create more. We run out of oil. I don't know why they think we have to buy oil. That's a whole nother, we ain't gonna get on that. But we will never run out of oil. If we need oil, we need gold, we need whatever, the universe will create it. It will become a thing. There's so much more than enough. It's incredible. Once you get that into your head, you want to talk about freedom. You're not walking around thinking, I'm not gonna make it. How are we gonna eat? Always make it. We always have enough to eat. We always get where we need to go. It always works out. Even in that moment when you're feeling whatever, feel it, but be like, okay, I'm just being a little overreactive right now. That's okay. And then you let it go. So usually once you acknowledge your feelings, how you're feeling, you just say, I'm thinking, I'm feeling, then it loses its power, and then you can move on along to the next thing. It's generally pretty simple. Another thing I kind of wanted to say was, I think I've delivered pretty decently and don't feel like I'm trying to shove anything on anybody, but I don't tend to be that way. But if you perceived it that way at all, I don't want people to think the way I think. I don't think anybody needs to think the way anybody else thinks. We all need to think the way we think. I think the way I think. Everybody do your own, stay in your own lane. But I do want to encourage you to think, to question everything. Question yourself the most. You've got that bullshit story going on in your head about how you're worthless or you're whatever. Why am I thinking that? What the hell? Okay, that's not true. Just think. Just question something. Well, my mom said whatever, and no disrespect to anybody's mom or dad's or anything, but just because they said something was a certain way, or that you have to think a certain way or do things a certain way, might be for them. That doesn't mean it's for you. We're all here to do our own things in our own ways, and to shine and to lead one another, to grow together. Everyone is connected. Not everyone would probably agree with that. Again, I'm not trying to get anyone to agree with me necessarily, but I feel like we are all very much so connected, and what I do affects you, what you do affects me, and so on and so forth. So as you do better for you, everyone else around you can't help but to get better. It has to be that way. I love watching the people around me get better. They can't even help it. Sometimes I can tell they're like, what's going on right now? that they can't help it because I'm better. I'm good. I'm happy, and so, you either love me or hate me for it. I mean, whatever you can around me, you can't help but to feel better because I feel good. So when you do that for yourself, everyone's gonna feel. It's gonna be the same. It's the same thing. It's a very, very, very powerful. I don't know what a good word would be. I want to say position to give yourself, but possession would not be the word. But gift to give yourself. It's the only control you have is of you, of who you are, of how you think, of how you choose to respond and to react to the life that is going on around you. I want to talk to you about goals too here in just a second, just a little bit to kind of help deepen that mentality as well. Playing victim to your life. Oh, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Don't mean it's not happening, but if you stay in that mentality that everything is happening to you, then you will not see the gifts that are there, because what is happening for you. It's happening to make you stronger. It's happening to teach you whatever lessons you need to learn. It's happening to help deepen your purpose and your reason for even being alive. And once you can understand that about what's really going on, again, that's some more gold, some more magic. So setting goals, I feel like are really important. I've struggled with that because I am such a flower. I can go with the flow of anything, and I'm a supporter. I'm kind of a team player per se. So when my friend is doing whatever, I will just go right on in with them and support them and help them do it. And then when this is going on, I'll support them and help them do it and kind of help them go through it. And I feel like my purpose is to show up for these people who kind of need me in that instance, instead of I've got to do this and this and this and this and this, like a lot of people do feel like they're to set goals for themselves. Doesn't mean you can't set goals to help others. It's just the way I think. I don't know how else to explain it. So I don't want to forget that either. So in setting goals for yourself, so if you don't do that, again, I highly recommend it. It doesn't have to be ridiculous, but do something that scares you a little bit. How to set a goal is something that I'll kind of give you a little basic information for. And then the way you actually set it, the way you have it worded, the way you have it visualized in your mind about it happening is so powerful. So, say you have a goal of being debt-free. I had that goal, and I succeeded in that goal last year, and that was like the best thing ever. I don't even think I celebrated it enough. We might need to even have a party. But say that's your goal. Okay. So if you're focused on being in debt, I gotta get away from this, I gotta get away from this, I gotta get away from this. Guess where you're going? Debt-free. Whatever the word would be, maybe not even using the word debt in your goal. So financial freedom. You have debt and you have financial freedom. So you're going to go towards financial freedom. Don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what you want. So that being said, so when you set a goal, my goal is to be financially free December 31st, 2019. And I know that I've achieved this goal because I see that all my, it's like a see, hear, feel, so you want to include kinesthetics. So I see that on my computer screen, all of my credit card balances are at zero. I feel amazing because there's no pressure of having to pay anybody any more money. And I hear music playing because I'm dancing because I'm so happy. I mean, anything like that. So that's your internal representation. Okay, I know that I've succeeded in this goal. I've become financially free. I see these things, I hear these things, I feel these things, and you make this mental image in your mind. Then you take this image and you place it in your timeline, in your what's happening for you, December 31st. So, and you focus, that's where you're going. No, I'm not going to debt, going financial freedom, and the universe works in aligning itself to make that happen for you, because that's where you're going. Now, I mean, you have to get married to a goal, and that's where a lot of people making a plan to get to your goal is a great thing to do, but also understanding that life is just going to be whatever it's going to be. And I've made a goal to be debt-free several years ago and set several time frames, and it did not happen within those time frames. But at the same time, I was still working towards it, and then I finally did get there. And it's okay if you don't get said goal at your time. At least you know you're going there. You're motivated toward that. You're not focusing on what you don't want. So hopefully that helps a little bit. If you want to do any like one-on-one work, setting goals in your timeline, anything like that, you just let me know and we can talk about that. I am going to ask as well while we're in here, and I mean even via video, if anyone wants to kind of add to this, you can send me a private message or whatever. I want to, because books have helped change my life, I mean helping change my perception, write down, or again send me the message, books that have made a big difference to you. So this around, or y'all can tell me or whatever, I can write it down. And hopefully, like if you look at this list, don't write down the same thing someone else did. So, okay, that was my number one choice. Okay, we'll write down your number two choice. So we all kind of, and then I wanted to share that with everybody. And that doesn't mean everybody has to read all the books that everyone recommended, but oftentimes that might help you. You might feel drawn. Ooh, I like the name of the book, The Alchemist. I want to read that. I loved The Alchemist, but it might not be for everyone else. I will say that one of the top books that changed my head, I could probably give you two, but The Untethered Soul and You Are a Badass. Those two, You're a Badass by Jen Sincero and The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Those two books are like, yeah, I read Be a Badass and You're a Badass like 3 times. The Untethered Soul, I'm twice. So, and I'll probably read it again. That's something that, especially The Untethered Soul, is so deep. And when I first started talking to y'all about the voices and the psyche and kind of those thoughts in your head, The Untethered Soul really puts that into a beautiful perspective. It's so deep that sometimes I have to put it away and be like, I just can't even get it. I get it, but it's so much. Yes?
This book, You Are a Badass. I remember I saw it at the airport.
Yes,
and
yes.
But which one is who wrote it? You are
Jen
Sincero.
Sincero, Sincero.
Jen.
Jen.
Jen. Yeah.
Sincero. I think that's how she spells it.
Okay.
Yep. You Are a Badass.
Yeah, there's more of them. They are like.
Yeah, she has a couple of different ones. You're a Badass at Making Money is another one that she wrote.
Yeah.
I read that one, and it was good, but I definitely was more for her first book, and then I just like her. She's funny.
Girl Wash Your Face is good.
Yes, I've heard that was good. Girl Wash Your Face is what she just said. I heard that was really good.
It's a new one. I want to read that one. It's a new one.
All right, I'm gonna stop recording now. Unless y'all kind of have any questions or anything you think I should try and feed into this video, and we will finish what we're doing amongst us privately. Y'all are missing out.